Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transformation Education and back to my YouTube channel. Today's transformation, we've got a bit of a regrowth here. She's a regular client of mine and she's had some pink put over it. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is a few strand tests in the back to determine the best way for me to remove this pink. The first strand test here you see me doing is a little similar to the clear and 20 volt technique. I didn't have any clear available unfortunately, so I've just used a 9.0 and a 9117, which is just like an ashy kind of blonde, and I've mixed that with 10 volt just to see how that's going to remove the colour. And then I've got also a bleach and 5 volt. So I'll just wait for about 10 minutes, see how these are processing and compare the results. As you can see, the bleach is actually lifting the hair up quite a lot lighter, and the blonde colour, it has removed the pink, but it hasn't gone quite as light for me, and it's looking a kind of muddy colour, which isn't really ideal for what I want, so I decided to go with the bleach method. I did rinse those strand tests out just quickly before I started applying the base colour. And what I'm doing here is just using bleach and a 30 volt, and I'm applying this to the mid band of that regrowth area first. So I'm not really paying much attention to putting this on her roots. I'm just doing like an off scalp application to just help me with that band because it is quite a large band. And later on I will go back in and reapply those roots with a 20 volt. But for now, I'm just focusing on getting that bleach on there really quick and getting it all saturated, and then I'm going to go in and separate it with some foils and reapply it again. I'm trying to take nice fine sections as I move along the head so that I can easily saturate that with the product. Also, because her hair is quite dark and I want a lot of lift, I want to separate those sections nice and fine. And you'll notice how I'm also being really careful not to overlap where the previous bleach is, because I know that when the bleach processes it is going to swell to a point, and I really want to avoid getting that white band in between if I can. I will pay more attention to that line where the new blonde is. When I'm doing the foils, you'll see it's a bit hard for me to explain without showing you exactly, but you'll just have to kind of hang in there and have a look. I always like to do the back first. Most of the time this is because the hair is generally a bit darker in the back, and if it does process up quicker than the front, which it usually does, it's a lot easier for me to just wash the back half off than wash the front half off of my client, because she'll be laying back in a basin. And also it just keeps things neater. As you can see, I'm moving forward to the front here and I'm just directing everything back and off my client's face, neat and tidy. So once the hair has started to process up and I can see that it's on the yellow side of things, it's getting kind of close to where I want it, this is when I'm going to go back in and take horizontal sections, and I'm painting the roots now, and I'm using bleach and 20 volt because I don't want to be putting 30 volt on my client's scalp. That's usually how we can end up in blisters, so best avoid the 30 volt on the actual scalp. Now see what I'm doing here. And we're going through and just paying real attention to that bit of dark there that's closest to the old blonde, and I'm really just making sure that I get all of that, feathering it through, and I don't want any overlapping to happen, so that's why I'm just being super duper careful And the foils are going to help me incubate this. So because her hair is so dark, I need that extra lift. So the foils just separates it all and just kind of concentrates that bleach more. And I just find that by doing it this way that I have so much more control over getting that band, because I just hate overlapping, and it is so hard to avoid overlapping onto the old blonde when you're doing like a regrowth like of this size. It's quite a hard thing to do. So this is the best technique and the best way that I've found that I can get the most consistent results. So generally if I've got a large regrowth like this, especially dark, I will always go through and do it this way. I really like to try and spread the hair open as well, just really thoroughly saturating, making sure that I get all those dark spots, because if you miss any with hair this dark, it is not very forgiving and it is going to stand out. You're going to notice it. So this, as you can imagine, is a very time-consuming process. I believe this took me in total from start to finish about 6.5 hours, which is like fairly standard for this kind of thing. And also my client has lots and lots of hair. So this has processed up for a little while now, and it's getting close to where I want it to be. So what I'm doing here is just kind of folding the foil down. I'm taking it off her scalp because I don't want to process those roots up anymore, but we've still got that little bit of a band in the mids that I do want to process a bit more. So I've just moved those foils down and concentrating them on the band, and I'm getting that heat off her roots, off her scalp.
Has he made himself at home? Cute. Which one? Is that your mum?
What I probably should have done is let that process a little bit more before I actually applied the roots, in hindsight. And I did just apply a little bit of heat to the back of her head just to help that speed up in processing and match the front. And then obviously we left that for about, I think, 20 minutes to half an hour, and now it's time to rinse it out. So what I've done here is rinsed it out, given it one shampoo. I've applied some conditioner as well and combed it through before I've done this. And now I'm applying some bleach and 20 vol to wet hair, just so that this is going to act a little bit like a bleach bath. Because I did my strand test, I know that the bleach method did work. So now I'm going in and I know I've got a plan, you know. I know that it's going to work because I've done my strand test. I can't stress enough how important strand testing is. There's nothing worse than just assuming something will work and then it doesn't, and you waste your time, and sometimes you can even make it worse. So I'm really just rubbing this through, making sure that I'm getting every little bit of her hair. And then once it's starting to lift, which you can see it already is, there's hardly any pink left in there, I'm going to also just add some purple shampoo and focus that on her roots as well, just to try and kill some of that yellow that's come out from the lifting. Not only have I got her natural yellow coming through, but I've also got a little bit of a orangey kind of band where she's refreshed her hair herself using the pink. So there's a little bit of that staining in there as well. So we'll just do everything we can to neutralize that with a purple shampoo. And then we'll get her out, blow dried off and ready for vivids. I was so amazed once I started rinsing this out at how much that purple shampoo just shifted that yellow and how well the bleach bath took that pink out. Amazing results. I love it when things work.
Yep, this is what I usually call the Malfoy moment. This is what I have to deal with.
like, yeah, don't you move. Bloody wouldn't want to inconvenience you, dog. So here is the finished result. It's certainly not perfect, we got lots of patches everywhere. I didn't really worry too much about that because I assumed that we were going to be doing something nice, bright and vivid. And I did not think we were going to be able to get her hair this blonde, and neither did she, so it was kind of a happy accident. We've decided to do something a bit different. We're going to use the same placement as a halo prism, but I'm not going to do a rainbow. I'm going to be doing some different kind of colours. We're going to utilise the canvas because we very rarely were able to get her hair this light. Usually there's always a bit of staining and I really struggle, but this time, since we're blonde, we're going pastel and we're going to use some of the blonde and actually leave some of it blonde. So like I would do a normal prism, I'm over directing that top box. There is a lot of hair in that top box, so this did take me a very long time to apply. And I'm not being too neat. I never am too neat when I do these prisms. I always try and overlap them a little bit. My sections aren't 100% precise, and that all just helps with the blend. Yeah, I think imperfection is perfection when it comes to this sort of thing. I'm never afraid to get my fingers in there. So the order that I'm doing this is I've gone purple, blue, pink, purple, and then on her ends I've just mixed up like a clear with a little bit of purple in it, just to kind of tone the blonde so that it's a more pale blonde. But I'm not going to introduce that last colour until I move a bit further along her head, because she's got an old fringe that's growing out here and it's quite a bit shorter. You'll see as I continue when I start introducing the more blonde colour on her ends. So here is where I'm starting to introduce that pale blonde on the ends, just after my last purple section, if you can see there. And I haven't started, I've held off until I've worked into the longer lengths of her hair, because I just wanted like a blonde kind of tip. And because the pieces at the front of her hair were so much shorter, that's why I held off on that last colour and I didn't introduce that until later on. But you should see me from now, every section I'm going to include that end blonde colour. Now, I don't always do this, but in this case, because there is just so much hair, I feel like the section's just getting a bit too hard for me to control, so I've actually laid down another mesh sheet and I'm going to start again. Also, what you find when you're doing these is as you go on, your sections start getting like much bigger, your sections of color. And so this will also is just a good way of helping control so that your sections aren't getting too wide. So I'm changing it and I'm just taking those sections back a little bit smaller as well. And on top of that, it is just easier. It's a little hard to explain, but once you do it, you just kind of feel it and you'll know that you just need to add another mesh sheet in there. It helps. And then, once it's finally done, I'll cover it with a few more mesh sheets and just try and roll it and clip it so that it's out of my client's face. Now, what I'm going to do with the back is use a light purple pastel mauve kind of colour that I've mixed up, And I'm going to use that on her roots to just try and tone down that gold for one, and also just merge that freshly bleached hair into the old blonde. But we do actually want to keep that blonde. So as you can see here, I'm really just trying to blend that through on the newly, like freshly bleached part. Blend that in. I'll go through and apply that to all the hair that's left out, which is still a surprising amount. Once I've got it all applied, I'm just giving it a little bit of a comb through just to get that excess product down through those ends. Just try and tie it all in nicely. Then I'm going to leave that cook for 20 minutes. This is how it all looks once it's finished. It's a bit hard to really get a good photo of this. And now obviously we've waited 20 minutes and we're going to rinse this out with cold water. Always cold water. Too bad if it's not comfortable. It has to be cold, especially when you've just spent all that time applying this color. I am not prepared to take that risk, so cold water it is, and I'm only rinsing here. I won't be doing another shampoo. You can apply a treatment if you feel like the hair needs it. And this is how it's come out. So you can see what that over direction has done and the placement. It's a really gorgeous blend. Now I'm going to give it a blow dry, put some curls in and show you the final results. Most of the time I like to do my curls just all directed back away from the face. Generally speaking, that's what I'll do. And I like to just give that hair a bit of a smooth down first before I put the curl in it. I do actually have a tutorial that's more in depth on how I do my curls. If you like, I may just link it in the description below for anyone who's interested in a bit more detail. And then once I'm done with the curls, I'll run a bit of smoothing serum through there for shine and just to help me with those flyaways. And this is the finished result. I've got you looking here through some natural light from my front window, and I've also got a ring light on here. So I really hope you like these results, and I hope you liked watching my transformation video. If you did, can you please give me a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell so you get the notifications. Thank you so much, and I look forward to doing another one for you. Bye bye for now.